Hey guys! Alright, so I have created already the neck corset from my costume. I've also made the bracer for the costume. There's going to be some embellishments happening on both of those things though, and I mentioned in a previous video that I'm going to do a separate video for that. I don't know exactly how many videos this is going to turn out to be because I've just been documenting the process as I go along, but I figure I'll try and break them up into the different components. So I did the neck corset and so forth in one video, and for this one I'm going to start and do the corset part. So the way that I'm doing it is the same as this but in different colours, and the embellishments that they have on it I'm probably not going to use, or at least it's going to be very different. I've got beautiful red material to use for the corset, and I hope that that works out. It is a little bit on the sheer side, but I have got some cotton backing, and I'll have to read the instructions to see whether it calls for a lining in the way that they've constructed it. I imagine it must, because I don't know, I haven't made a corset before. I've only made neck corsets, and one of the neck corsets I did definitely had a lining as part of it. The one in this costume, the neck corset, didn't have lining. It had boning channels, but very basic ones. So we'll see. I don't know what it's going to be like. I've been ironing out the pattern pieces over here, back there, just so that I can make sure that it's the right size. I tried to work out the size from the measurements on the back of this, and I've gone for a size 16. Now, normally I am a size 14, but apparently this pattern does run small. So and looking at the measurements, if I'm reading it all correctly, at least bust size wise, it's size 16 for me. So I hope that works out. We'll see. I've already cut the pattern pieces. Although for the for this one, it seems like there's multiple pattern pieces available in. So like you can cut out the corresponding pattern pieces depending on the size that you're going for, and they've got like 2 different pattern pieces, and you grab the one that corresponds to the size that you're going for. And I think like how they did it from memory, they had, you know, size say 16, 18, 20 for example together in a grouping, and you could cut those pattern pieces out, or you could cut out the 14 you know, whatever it ended up being. I can't remember the exact groupings of pattern pieces they had now, and then they had different cut lines for those sizes. So if all goes wrong and this is like too big and I should be using a size 14, there is a separate lot of pattern pieces I can use, so which is good, because the way that it worked for the neck corset, it was kind of like if I cut out the like if I cut a bigger pattern piece, just the way that they adjusted the pattern lines, it wasn't as if I could go, oh well, that's okay, size 16 is too big, I'll just, you know, cut a bit more off and I'll be a size 14. Like, it didn't work that way. It was like, because you'd already adjusted it in other ways, like curves were different on it, angles were different on it. So once you sort of commit to a size, that's it. You know, I suppose if someone was trying to use this for all the sizes, you'd transpose it all onto some other paper or what have you. Like, yeah, that probably would have been a smart thing for me to do, I guess. I didn't do that though, so so be it. It is what it is. Or maybe there's like a way to like draw it onto the pieces without actually cutting it. I'm sure people who are more equipped with sewing than I am an absolute novice. So if you're here to learn how to sew, move along. because this is not the video for you. This is more just watching me fumble my way through a pattern for the first time and just document it for you guys. So I'm not sure what you'll get out of it. Hopefully at least an entertainment. I don't know. You know, maybe it'll be fun to see someone who's not done much sewing try and do this. Maybe you're thinking about doing it yourself, and trust me, if I can do it, anyone can do it, because I really don't know what I'm doing. I'm Googling all the different references to work out what it is. I'm having to reread sentences over and over again to work out what on earth they're trying to tell me to do. Yeah, the fact that I've come this far, I'm pretty impressed actually with myself. I have something that resembles a neck corset, and I think that's pretty awesome. I might have to embellish the crap out of it to cover up, you know, all the messy stitching that I did, but yeah. And I'm sure it'll be no different for this one either. So anyway, let's get into it. I'm going to start by pinning my pattern pieces to the fabric and cut them up. That might be all I get to today, to be honest, because it's a little ways through the day already. It's already in the afternoon. So chances are when you see me again, I'll be in totally different clothing, and, you know, slightly more frazzled possibly after trying to do this pattern. Guys, well, I'm continuing with my costume project.
There was a little bit of a snag.
When we went to Spotlight the first time and I was trying to get all the different material for the costume, I bought the wrong stuff for interfacing. I bought this heat and bond stuff. I've thrown the packaging out, so I can't even really show you what it is. Well, actually, it's just a roll of stuff that you can like iron onto the back of material, and I thought it was an iron-on interfacing. Turned out it was like an iron-on like bonding stuff.
So that was kind of an expensive mistake.
Because it was an expensive product, but at the time I could not for the life of me find interfacing. I should have asked someone, because as it turned out it was like really conspicuous. Right at the front of the material counter was all these big rolls of interfacing, which I've missed somehow, and bought this other heat bond. I'm not upset that I have this though, mind you. I think it'll be handy, and I ironed a bit of it on before I even realised it was the wrong stuff. Again, I want to stress that I am a novice, and if you are hoping that you're going to learn some amazing stuff, it's probably more you're going to learn what not to do. I'm sure there's going to be some very good sewers out there that are cringing watching me do this, but you know what? You've got to start somewhere, and I just encourage you guys to jump in like I have and give it a go. So anyway, there was another emergency trip to Spotlight, at one stage I was going to try and get around it by using the heat and bond stuff and bonding it to the like some black material that I got as a lining, which I think it would have worked, but thinking about the actual expense of this stuff, it would have been a lot of money, you know, wasted really on something that wasn't the right way to go about it, and could have caused trouble because it wasn't quite the same as the interfacing that I was meant to use. So anyway, glad I didn't do that, mainly for the money side of it, to be honest. Like, I really think it would have worked fine. I don't think you would have realised that, you know, once it was done that happened. But yeah, so anyway, I've cut out all my pattern pieces here, you know, and got all my backing pieces and all of that stuff. So now I've got to start construction. There's, you know, quite a number of different pieces to the corset. So you can probably see from these sort of diagrams, as with any corset, it has a lot of different pieces. I have gone for a size 16. I can't remember if I've mentioned that. There's been a long time between filming for various reasons, which no doubt I'll mention in a different video eventually. But yeah, so anyway, basically gonna start trying to put this thing together. I feel fairly comfortable with doing that now that I've done the neck corset, but I guess we'll see. I mean, you know, the main thing is sometimes it can be like hard to get stitching to be straight and that sort of thing. The upside being, I think I should be able to unpick stitching from this material a little bit easier than the other, like leather sort of type material, because it's not going to leave puncture holes. The problem is with the other neck corset, when I pulled the thread out, like you'd still see the puncture hole, so you sort of, once you'd sewn a spot, you know, you've kind of damaged it. So if you pull stuff out and redo it, if it's in a visible spot, you're going to see it. So that's hopefully going to make things a little bit easier, but we'll see. Alright guys, here's the channels basically that I've sewn for the boning. So that's the other side there. It came out pretty good. There was a couple of bits like in these curved parts that I didn't sew that well, but honestly I'm just going to go with it because it's not too bad. It's definitely not perfect, but I'm still learning. So you know, I don't know if you'll be able to, you probably can't even see it in this light. Yeah, so it's just a little bit bunched there, and I could take it out. I probably should take it out, but I don't think I'm going to. I'm going to try putting the boning in there and see if it looks okay, because it's not too bad. Other than that, the rest came out pretty good. I'm pretty happy with how it's looking. I've just been really taking my time with it because, you know, I'm just not super great with stitching with a sewing machine yet. But, you know, it's looking right so far. So we'll see how we go. But, you know, at least it's sort of, let me zoom out. At least it's sort of looking like a corset so far. I did sort of do a bit of a slight test drive, you know, holding it against me to see if it fits. It's looking a little small, to be honest, which is a bit concerning, especially because I did size up, because I know this pattern runs small, and the measurements that sizing up, you know, like the measurements for the size 16, which is, you know, bigger than I should be, apparently should fit me, and it's just seeming like it's going to be a little small. So we'll see, but I'll keep going, and I don't know, maybe I can try and lose a bit of weight before the ball and make it fit that way. We'll see. So now I need to put the boning into these boning channels that I've sewn, which is the next step. Alright guys, so this is the corset so far. I've put the boning in, I've got the lining on the back here, which has just been stitched at the top and the bottom as per the instructions, and then I believe I need to do the bias binding over the top of this next. But what I am finding is it's looking like it's going to be just a tiny bit too small. The way it's designed seems to be that it has a big gap where the lacing is, which is fine, and then it's got this modesty panel, which is the next sort of part of it. But what I'm finding is it's looking like potentially, and it is hard to tell because I'm trying to hold it on myself, potentially though the back might be too wide, and I don't know. I think what I'm going to do, because it is so far apart and there's a bit of room for bringing it in, I'm going to make a couple more panels that I'll extend beyond what I've done. Haven't quite worked out how this is going to look yet. It would have been much better if I hadn't have finished this off already, but I think I'll be able to probably stitch this onto the other side where this boning channel is, and it should look okay. And then have that as where the grommets are, because otherwise I just think it's going to be a tiny bit too small, and I really would hate for this to not lace up and really fully cover everything. I really want that to be fully covered. So it was out of that or making a larger modesty panel, but honestly I don't want the lacing to be so far apart, and it already is looking very far apart when I hold it against my body. So I think I'm going to go this way. This is unfinished. I haven't like started doing anything. I've just literally cut some extra pieces just to, you know, bring that line out a bit further. I hope this works because, you know, I know like literally only made a couple of things with sewing before, so I'm fairly new to all of this. So when it comes to adjusting patterns, I'm not super confident. So I'm very good at embellishment though, so anything I screw up I figure I can put beadwork over the top of it and we'll be fine. But yeah, that's where we're at. Let's cross our fingers and our toes and our arms and whatever, that it all goes well. And I know you can't see me right now, but like honestly, I've got no makeup on. I look an absolute mess, and I'm quite happy for you guys to only see the corset at the moment. So yeah, this is the corset. It's basically finished as far as the main construction of it goes. I've just put the little eyelets in there. I do need to attach this modesty panel, which I'll be like hand sewing onto it. And then I'll be doing a lot of embellishment on this as well. You will have seen me iron some pieces of lace. I painted these with that same fabric paint that I've been using with my necklace, and I ironed it to set it and everything like that. So I did that. I painted these last week. They've had plenty of time to dry, and now I'm finally able to work on them a bit more, that I have some time. So I'll be putting some lace at the front, and then around the bottom I'll have this lace here, and probably beadwork and other embroidery work and stuff. I really want to decorate this quite heavily, So we'll see how that comes out. I mean, I say I want to decorate it quite heavily, but sometimes when I start doing it, I'll look at it and kind of go, I kind of like it where it is, and might stop. So we'll see how that goes. But I'm really glad I painted the lacework. It was a more of a bright gold, like, I don't know if you'll see the difference in that light. So it was a much brighter gold like this is, and it's just going to go better with the neck corset, which is a real bronzy, brassy colour. So I'm glad I've painted that, and it's not as, because see how, I don't know if it's really showing up from this angle, but it would really stand out a little bit too much more than I wanted. Yeah, so anyway, that's where we're at so far. Heaps of work to go with embroidery stuff, but the basics are done. I think I did an alright job all up. I mean, if you look at my bias binding, it's pretty messy. Some of my stitch work isn't the greatest. If I was doing it again, I think I would have done a lot more hand stitching things in place first at least, and then machining them, because I just found it really, really difficult to keep things neat otherwise. But I mean, for the most part though, I'm pretty happy with how this has come out. I haven't done a full fit out of it yet, and I'm gonna need help to get into it, to be honest, because it is a full lace up corset. I don't know exactly how it's gonna fit. I've sort of held it against me to get a bit of an idea. It seems like it should be okay, and you know, I did extend it a little bit, as you know. So I don't know, fingers crossed it's all gonna be fine, but I guess we'll see when I actually go to wear it. I don't know whether I'm going to try it on for you guys yet or leave it as a surprise at the end. Let me know what you think, because like there's a lot of work to happen with it yet. But if, you know, I'm saying this like you can tell me in real time, but I guess I'll decide whether I think I want to show you guys what it's all going to look like now, or make it more of a surprise. There's going to be some things that are a surprise anyway, so yeah, maybe I'll show it when I've got a bit more done.